Negotiating meaning is one thing, but negotiating these gowns is quite another. I cannot tell you what a great pleasure it is for me to respond to this inaugural lecture. I'm reminded of when I first met Michael, when he arrived at WITS as a young MEd student. To the great surprise of many of us, in an essay on the liberal radical debate in education at the time, it was an essay he wrote that he titled, "Look Inside the Boxes Before You Stick on the Labels." In this essay, he challenged the doyens of education, the framers of the debate, the Penny Enslins of the world, the Linda Chisholms of the world. He challenged the establishment at WITS with this little article, "Look inside the boxes before you stick on the labels." And I think that that's what he's inviting us to do here tonight as well, to look inside the boxes of teachers before we stick on the labels. He's taken up a very key issue, and I want to say that I've read his paper before he presented it, both as a reflection on research that he's done, as well as a continuing research agenda in which he's provided us with the theoretical framework and what he thinks needs to be done. So I just want to say a little bit more about that. There's little doubt that the challenges that South Africa faces in education are intimately bound up with the teaching profession and with teachers' professional development, the issues that Michael has placed at the centre of his work. Last week, City Press ran with the headlines, "Satu still selling posts." It came hot on the heels of a leaked NEDU report in the Mail and Guardian, which in the words of the Mail and Guardian showed rampant cronyism, union meddling and teacher appointments that ignore policy. Before this, the National Development Plan, of which Michael is critical, had located the main problems in schools as lying with teacher performance and school leadership. It drew on a considerable body of literature pointing to the importance of teacher content and pedagogical content knowledge. These challenges are well known. But how does one get to the root of them? How does one begin to understand what is going on in our schools, what is going on with teachers that enable these things to happen? Michael Cross wants to strike a balance. He does not want to enter the blame game, quite legitimately and quite rightly. He does not believe that government policy or initiatives have had or will have any traction. He does not think that accountability measures hold out any hope. Instead, he argues that we need to understand how teachers develop their sense of professional identity as lived experience. And we need to do this through understanding their life histories, through looking at the narratives that they present of how they become teachers and how they go through the teaching profession. I think that in the South African context, this is a vitally important and a new project, Teachers' Lives. It's been researched elsewhere. It isn't greatly researched in South Africa. It has the potential to provide us with critical new insight into these broader questions that trouble the public about the ways in which teacher professional identities are expressed in sometimes very problematic practices at school. So it's how does one bring those things together? How does one bring together an understanding of what happens to teachers' professional identity when they are confronted with what one thesis calls the quiet corruption in schools, where, say, union activism takes precedence over leadership and teaching and learning? How does one understand what happens with teachers' identity when they go into schools motivated, excited, wanting to give back to their community, and this is what they confront? On what is to be done, Michael is unequivocal. The core elements, he says, as far as teacher education is concerned, there's a research agenda that he sketches. It's the lived experiences of teachers' lives, and I think it holds out vast potential. But in addition, he also has advice for teacher education. For him, the core elements of academic and professional identity during teacher education need to be strengthened with what he calls the creation of a professional habitus with a strong normative grammar. And perhaps this has been underestimated. Perhaps it does need to be taken more seriously. And for him also, learning communities are to be seen as places and spaces not only where research is done into how professional identities are formed, but also as places where professional identities can be transformed. So he sees great hope and potential also in different teacher education spaces and places. Very shortly then, the background to Professor Cross's intended and completed project is complex and challenging. It's not simple. Nobody has the answers. But as an accomplished scholar, with the depth of knowledge that he has demonstrated this evening, and with the wealth of experience that we all know he has and that Professor Gravett outlined, I have no doubt that his ongoing research in this area will link these wider questions about teacher actions with identity formation, with their identity formation in an illuminating and a profound manner. This is what we have come to expect of him, this is what his work has done, and this is what I'm sure it will continue to do. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be there discussing it.
The University of Johannesburg. Rethink, reinvent.